Now, we do use a dictionary from the A to Z for thousands of fucking pages, and the purpose, the function of dictionary is to make a definition as per words. The combinations of alphabet make a differentiator for its meaning as its unique combination. It has been given a certain meaning of information to the code. It is not the code that says anything. When the code is not analyzed but left alone, it has no meaning but the combination of meaningless alphabet itself. It is the information designated, correlated on that, the real information that is stored in your fucking brain that really matters and makes an analyzation. It is just the code is just a translator as a sharing medium. Now, when you do see like immigrate, the word immigrate, a combination of e and migrate, and emigrate, 씨발, I migrate, migrate, and just one word, migrate. Now, when you do see that combination of alphabet, M-I-G-R-A-T-E, I-M-I-G-R-A-T-E, for that combination is transformed to the corresponding information, and as there is a dictionary that says what the fucking definition of immigration is, with the short sentence, the definition of immigration is to move places where to live of the learner from one place to another by moving its habitat. Okay, that is defined by the word, single word, small word, immigration. When you do say immigration, someone has moved its habitat for long-term living from one place to another, which can be transporter. Now, that information is stored under the name of immigration, and the real information is not the immigration, but that action itself. Because the action is in existence, the one can say from the representation summarized delineation of that moving action to be a immigration. You represented that total action of meaning. For over the years, as per 1 year and another year, hundreds of thousands of people do move from one place to the another state, from one state to the another state, from one even can it be 10 kilometers, 20 kilometers, even 1,000 kilometers, but they immigrate for long-term living. All of these peoples are different in countries, ages, but what they are doing as an action to migrate and its purpose to live in another place is remaining the fucking same. Because its purpose and action is all the same, that all total action is cohorted under the name of same group, which is immigration. Yes. And that is the information. And also, when you do see an immigration and be analyzed from that, you must have a corresponding real information on that word to translate. Now, the generalized information has to be stored as I have just spoken what the definition of immigration is, for the brain to the real information. The generalized conception of what that information means has to be stored. Now, does that mean on the brain it has to have a physical dictionary on its brain? Because it has to be, unless analyzation cannot be made. You do not designate a combination into real meaning unless it has a dictionary to translate from. That is the essence of how the pressing is made. Now, when someone do know a Korean, Deutsch, English, Spanish, all the fucking different words, but you do not know what that word means. Even you can see and say for its pronunciation, but no meaning is known to you. What does that fucking mean? It just is what it is for what is written word, which has no meaning unless it is analyzed. So, when the brain is trying to understand on that, it has to have a generalized conception as, say with the dictionary, as dictionary says what the definition of immigration is, you have to have the generalized conception as its fucking exact copy. From that utilization, you can make a connection with the word immigration. So, not fancy words, how to make a generalized conception of that to the real physical meaning. Now, it is a new inspiration when someone, let's say, there's hundreds of 100,000 of words are in existence in English, let's say, and you do know 1% of it, which is 1,000. No. 1,000, 10,000, 100,000. And someone knows 0.1%, which is just 100 words. 1%, 1,000 words, 10,000 words, 100,000 words, millions words. And someone knows 10%, which is 10,000 word. Someone knows 20%, 20,000 word. And from the one who knows only 100, 2,000, 10,000, 20,000, as its knowledge of codes accumulate, the one can correlate its relationships to be more denser network. For the one can refer to infer the new combination of meaning what would be by the connection of it, whose density of connection is surpassed by German language, having a lot of correlation compared to the fucking no logic English. Yes, can the one analyze its meaning because it knows the related informations to connect around the new information, because it knows a previously known information for its cumulative knowledge, and which can be connected around the new information. Every incoming new information, the previously known information are connected around to analyze. For that, when a brain is to analyze something, it has to connect as much as it can to analyze. And when to define what the word information really means as its explanation for what it really means, one has to connect around that one to more delicately, more accurately, more objectively delineate what the exact analysis on that designated information would be. The one who knows more words, not 100, be more 200, be more 1,000 to 5,000 to 10,000 to 30,000. Informations in previous knowledge, accumulated knowledge, they can be connected around the new information grows compared to the 100 words, to the 3,000, to the 220,000, to the 30,000, and the count grows over surpassing 100,000 words in existence, creating new words, creating new knowledge, like 200,000 of informations in existence and growing more and more percentage, not the unconditional number, from 100 words to 20,000 words, which is 20 times bigger. But also, when 20,000 words are in existence of knowledge, more percentage of it can be connected. When assuming 3% of 100 words can be connected, 3 words, but in 20,000, not only it gets a conditional multiplication for 20 times, like 60 words, but it can also increase its density of connection for adding one or more 2% and 3% for 5%. So it really surpasses then 60 words of 20,000 words, but 100, 200, 300 words. It surpasses its unconditional linear increasing count, but its connection for its density grows much faster than that. Meaning, as the knowledge grows, like 100,000 of words are in existence compared to 20,000, not only it grows for unconditional count for 5 times, but for 300 words, but it can be 500, 600, 1,000 words to connect. Because the count grows, the connection grows much faster than its rate. When the one is to make a definition of word, like a book, when a word book comes in, a computer that has only 1,000 words can merely connect on a round of that new information to designate, but a computer that has 1,000 words, 10,000 words, it can connect around for much higher density. Goes, it is called acceleration of learning. Now the core purpose of this conversation is that the computer must have the definition of what that stored information, that single unit of information would really mean by the connection around. When a book is stored in the real physical form, or we now call neuron, for its combination of molecules, the information about, for referring the book, is stored. But what really does that mean for the book? The book, because the analysis is the same word with dissection and divide, what really the information would really mean for its broadest definition of what the analyzation is, it is just a connection. No fabulous words. It is just a connection. Through connections can really have a meaning because it is shared. For what the book really mean, the book is constituted with a space where the information can be stored, what we refer as a paper, but a space is more general, is more higher ranking, not a sub set, but a higher set for what that what the purpose of paper would really mean in writing a book, which is not a paper, not a white background, not its material, but the space to store. From the space, having black colored characters on the black background of paper cannot really differentiate. There is a reason of why white and black for its utmost differentiated color for its relation is used, and having a black ink is more cheaper than having a black background, is why the black character is used. Now, having that, having a space and to store, and what the medium of storing would be a pencil, would be an ink, or what the medium of space would be a storage, electronic storage, binary memory, or paper, or in glass, or in papyrus. Yeah, the constituent of what the book is for dividing to its more smaller unit of components. What consists is just a space and the differentiator of meaning, which is just storing the code. Meaning, the space and a code to write in is what the book really means. So, just two and connected around informations are really needed to define what really the word of book mean. Now, when in the brain, when the word of book for its real physical information of book really exists by the combination of molecules, it has to be connected around the space for storage and the differentiator for writing codes has to be connected around for those informations to really have what the word book and its existence of information really means when it is computed around to be used. Okay? For its real existence of information to be analyzed, it has to have a meaning which is made through connections. For single mere existence of book doesn't really have any meaning unless it is connected around to analyze. When the one uses the word book, it has to have a meaning to be analyzed, which means the storage of the information for book is stored with the status of connecting around the medium of storage and the writing code as differentiator. Okay? It has to have a meaning. And when it has meaning, it is connected around. And when it is computed, and for eternal existence of book, it remains connected. Its status of information on the real processor remains by the connection around the related information whose combination, whose entire connection defines what the definition of book is. Its real meaning? Yeah. So, when the one commanding to use the information of book, its near connected information is simultaneously called altogether because the single existence of book doesn't really mean anything. It is just a generalized representation of storing and differentiating by the writing, storing codes, which is the real player for what really defines. Yeah? So, not only the code, but its definition, which is made by the connection around the word of book, is also fired, is also stimulated, called, put all together. When the one refers to, when the one says the word chair, its function is to make a seating. Unless it exists, human has to work on all its operations in its standing form or lied form because it cannot operate efficiently when it is lied, like a bed in a floor. It primarily goes into standing position, but because there is a pull of gravity for its accumulation over time of operation, its muscle of leg goes fatigue around. That is the reason of why the invention of chair, where its weight for the, what do you call for the second part of leg, not a thigh, but the 종아리를 뭐라고 하냐? When the second part, the last extremity of body is constantly lifting upon all the weight, from the chair that is converted into the combination of your thigh and your back spine, because the area and muscle of thigh and spine combined is much larger than the single second part of the leg. It can operate much longer when it is really sitting on the chair. It's the reason of why the chair is invented. And the definition of chair is really that, for the one can change its holder of weight from the second part of leg to the thigh and spine. That is the chair's function, its purpose. And when to make a dictionary, so that is applied. The combination of code elements has to reflect, for its information's purpose, dispersing the weight, its weight against the gravity from A to B is what really means for the chair, which means when a dictionary comes in, the proper combination by its logic has to be designated, and the definition of it has to be delineated next to it. And of course, on the same thing, brain has to be designated for its real combination of molecule, for logically, by its logic, what the function what we now call chair would really mean. And the generalized analysis for what I've just say, dispersing the weight of learner from A to B, is stored around. When your code in dictionary on the paper, there is a code designated, and the explanation on its analyzation for what it really means is just written next to it. But in the brain, it is a 3D sphere like a soccer ball, for its connection is very similar with the light cable. Cable of internet is connected around all of the globe, and the globe is like a brain, and the cable around which makes internet possible is a connection for its dots. And like a human fucking analogy, if personal existence of human for each of differentiated unit is converted to the existence of information for what really connects around those 8 billion counts of humans in the informations are a cable for sharing informations called by internet. So the real existence of information has to be around in a sphere that has to be in the having a combination of molecules that we now call chair, and it what it really means as its function purpose is to disperse the weight around from a part to the other part, has to be connected around the related conceptions for having a relevance for any information has to be connected around the word of chair for to define what the chair really mean on its analyzation and used for computation. The conception of gravity is connected on the chair. The conception of shape, physical part of learner, now we have as a human, have a feet and back and its upper part. that related information has to be connected on the chair. And for its height, we do have a height adjusting capability in the chair. Pneumatic, hydraulic, by that capability, which is made by its logic for the length, same length. Its height is defined by its length of the second part. 종아리 뭐라고 해? Second part of the leg being, for example, 30 centimeter, 40 centimeter, 45 centimeter, 50 centimeter. So is the height of the chair for its sitting sitting flat, to disperse the weight, which means when the leg is bent with the 90-degree of vertical angle, the second part of leg goes free for holding the gravity, and the thigh is shared. The thigh is redesignated for its job to lift. For the lying thigh, two thighs are lifting, holding the weight, and adding that, the spine, or the upper part of body, is holding around. And there exists a back plate on the chair to support the back and retain its formation of curvature of spine, and also to lean on the back, which means not only the thigh is used from conversion of second part to this first part, which is the thigh for lifting the heavy weight, also the back is used, which is a sharing of lifting job. For that, the proper height measurement for the criteria for making what centimeter, what length of chair has to be made. What length of the chair has to be made is defined by the length of the learner. When the learner has 35 centimeters of second extremity, so is the height of chair. That information for how high the plate of sitting chair has to be made, which is defined by the length of learner's body. That information has to be connected. And this is an option for having a head rest, which is good for its existence, and adjusting the lumbar elevation, adjusting the lumbar elevation for its customization, and having an arm station to lift the arm, and having a wheel on the chair to move around is just an option. And because it is possible to be made, that information is connected around for defining what the word chair means. So when the computer commands to call the word of chair, the word chair is just a generalized representation for what it really means, which means whose meaning is defined by the dots. Information is connected around it. The word chair doesn't have any meaning. The real information is connected around the word of chair, defines what the chair is, and it's just a futile representation. In Korean, we call 이거 바지사장인 거지, 그치? So the real maker of meaning that is connected around to define what the chair really mean is simultaneously called upon that call command. So every information has a meaning and has to have a meaning to be analyzed. When the information is called, the related information that define what that information means is altogether called upon. And because it is what it really is for its logic of computation, that state of connected around as a storage in the sphere of knowledge, it really remains its connected status for its connected position always. And as the accumulation of knowledge grows in, like creating new words from the hundred thousands of counts of dictionary to millions of words of dictionary, so is the knowledge, having a information count from 100 to 1,000 to adding more zeros behind it. So the connections, as its count of information grows, it really goes growing faster than its additional rate. Meaning, as it evolves, so is the connection, like having hundreds of thousands, 200,000 of informations are in existence and having a density rate of 30%, average 30% around the informations, but evolving to 5 times, which is million count of information, and the connection rate goes like 40%, and 10 million goes 55%, 100 million goes 75%, 200 million goes 80%, 85%. Yes, its connection rate goes all over it. Now, imagine when we create a new information that is not known in this time. We call A, and what A really means on that hundreds of thousands. When a time when just only 1 million count of information do exist around the information of A, only 20 connections were around, but to multiply 10 times, which is 10 million. 300 connections are made around the A, and when 100 millions over again 10 times, 5,000 and 7,000 connections are made around to define what really A means. So which means the more intelligent the computer is, so the definition of what each of every information would really mean for its precise, more accurate, more delicate, more objective definition is made, because it is what knowledge really means for its structure, and that itself is a definition of what knowledge is, and that is the only one how for showing what the purpose of learning is, how it is made. For making a new information A, for one time, 200 connections are made around. The next time, more evolution, 2,000 connections are made around. The next time, more evolution, 200,000 of connections are made around of A. For a previous time, just 200 informations are connected around of A to define what really A means, having less sophistication rate than the later time, which is 2,000, and going 200,000 connections for informations, not 200 informations, but 200,000 informations are connected around the same information of A. On that, for what really the information of A means, it has been evolved to be more to the more counts of connection, which means the more delicate, objective, accurate analysis of what really the information of A really means evolves. Okay? As the knowledge grows, the count of information grows, so does the connection, and its density goes faster than that. And as a result, what is the structuristic analysis of evolution of knowledge? Which is when every A to Z to another information are in existence in the sphere of knowledge, the more informations are connected around to define, which is same word with analyzation, to define what the information of A means. The less intelligent computer defines what the information of A really means with less sophistication, less accuracy, less objectivity. For the low quantity and quality of informations connected around to analyze that is the structure of definition, defining what really information means. And the more intelligent computer having more quantity and quality of informations to define this information, what really A means, going hundreds of times of quantity, and the quality of information goes much faster than that, meaning the more intelligent computer can define, analyze what the information of A means with more precision, with more accuracy, with more delicacy, with more objectivity. Yes, that is what intelligence means. You have to make this computer. The more delication, the more precision, the more sophisticatedness, aren't those the same thing? Okay. The more accuracy, the more objectivity of analyzation on any and all informations in the network of knowledge for defining what the and a information is. Analyzed what really means is made by the dense and diverse connections of informations related, logically related informations having maximum relevance around by the quantity and quality informations, which really defines what the information means, and which is also not only a constituent of information, and is also another generalized code, which is also analyzed by the another connections of the information, which means there is information called A, and from number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 to 20 to few dozens of informations are connected around to define A, but that what is called from 1 to few dozens of informations connected, it are not each of which also are not only a constituent to define what really A information of it really means, but also just that those are another kind of code for each of which, like having 40, 50 informations are connected around to define the information of A, but the first information connected, number 1, is also defined by the other informations for what really the number 1 means, okay? Let's say having 20 informations, and number 2 not only is the constituent for the second connection for defining what really information of A means, but also is a proprietor, also is the information of 2 is defined by another kind of informations. Let's say 30 informations are connected around to define what number 2 as an information really means. And number 3, not only is a constituent as a third information connected around for defining what really the information A means, but also is defined because, it is connected around the information of A because it has a meaning. Okay? The information A is analyzed because the information is connected around have a meaning. Okay? So number 3, not only is a constituent for defining that, also is defined for what being information of number 3 is connected around by different information, like let's say 15, 40, 100. Okay, as needless to say, for proving of how the information that has more importance, more accuracy, objectivity is connected around by more accounts of information than the other information which has less importance than the first one, which is connected around by less count of information, because any information that has more importance, that is analyzed by more count of quality and quantity informations having less importance, that is connected around by much less quality and quantity of informations. So raising the importance of information is really made by adding more connections of quantity and quality informations to create new logics, new structures, to create new applications. Well, of course, by its sense, the word gravity has more importance than the word wood, okay? So for defining what the gravity really mean is connected around by more count of quality and quantity of informations than the information of wood has. So let's go number 4. Not only is the number 4 as an information a constituent for defining what really the information of A means, which is also is defined as meaning it has a meaning, a number 4 designated a specific combination. Number 4, which is defined by the another informations, let's say 20 connections or 200 connections. Yes, it goes on and on. Then information number 5 not only is a constituent for defining what the really information of it really means, but it also is defined by number 5, which has a meaning, which really has to be analyzed as to have a meaning, a definition, which means the number 5 as an information is connected around another kind of informations. So when we do make a network for a physical network of the knowledge as our neurons and synapses network, simple, single, mere, small existence of information that are not connected around by logically related informations do not have any meaning but its solely existence at all. Having simple, single information, no, it has no meaning. But as the count of information grows, but the rate of connection goes much faster than that, it has formed what we call knowledge, and whose structuristic form by the logic of connection for defining, analyzing what each of those information really means, made by connections, it really is like the spider web around the sphere, like a globe of Earth. Around the sphere, it is like a spider web. But the spider web is connected more densely around as a soccer ball form. And for it's down to the core, we call like a mantle core, crust, as deep going down to the Earth's core. So it is applied as from the outer core to the inner core to the real core as the center of sphere. Okay, center of sphere, like a center of gravity. It has much more importance, the core logic for defining and generalizing, managing, administrating the network of knowledge. And it goes to the outer core, outer crust, outer thin film as onions and Russian toys. When it goes to the outer core, it has less importance than the core, meaning having less connections that can be made because it is by its logic. When an object exists in the very center, core of gravity, core of sphere, it has more connections, possibilities of connections around by its logic for 300 fucking 60 degrees and another 300 fucking 60 degrees vertically around, okay? Not only it goes in one dimension and the second dimension is added upon that, going, like a light emanating its energy around all of those directions, not the two-dimensional 360 degrees, but also another superposed, vertically superposed two-dimensional, adding more 360 degrees like a sphere, as it is sphere. But going to the outer layer, not a mantle, not a core of Earth, but like continent of our countries and oceans, it has very small possibilities for connection, for the connection count. They cannot penetrate into the core deeply as the core does, and it is connected around these adjacent ones. That is the reason of why the very important informations for defining, administrating, storing, and managing is a core principle like a DNA is stored inside the center of sphere, and the extensions as derivatives, as ramifications of trees, as branches of knowledges are expanded around the globe. And we will be very much like and same logic with how the human brain is made, having a bunch of counts of neurons and it is connected by the highway of synapse connections. It really will be the same, but its connection has to be more accurate and be well organized to call upon and create new connections by its correct mechanism. So having like a spider web like connections around the sphere and going down deep to the core is a 3D. The spider web is just a 2D flat surface, but the knowledge goes 3D, and the connections are made upon superposed the other and another and the other spider webs. It adds more and more dimensions. It's like 실타래를 영어로 뭐라고 하냐? 아휴. It's like a lining for made of fiber for making clothes that is interwoven, interlaced by a spheric form from the center of its first start of the line to the very last layer, to the very last line of ending line, as it is more and more spider web like connections. That network is superposed upon and upon each and around the other, making a sphere of knowledge. that is called an organization of knowledge. And lastly, the tryings to make more and more quality and quantity of connections of information around to define, to analyze the information is made by the initiative stress tests executed by the learner itself. And that learning for what has been made around the earth for the history of evolution is stimulated upon by the external forces which made the afflicted ones evolve, adapt around that changed environment by upon the simulation. But the advanced one makes its simulation by its initiative, imagination to connect around by its execution. So the initiative stress test for what really logically means for structure is just trying to connect around the information more and more and more and more by making experiments for trying to connect. Just having a jab to the information. Do we have a relation? Do we have information? Do we have information? Do we have a relationship? Okay? Connect. Try to connect. That is called experience. That is called experiment. It's just the same thing. Simulation, experience, just same thing. Connect. Trying to connect. Be more delicate. The more connections, the more sophistication. The more accuracy, the more objectivity. So the learning for the process of learning is made by eternally, endlessly making experiments and experiences for executing that initiative stress test to connect around those informations for what has not been explored yet, trying to connect new dots, making new informations, making novel applications by the created necessitation simulated upon that, making simulations, creating necessitations to develop a disastrous and devastating desperation of advancement by that pains, excruciating simulations inflicted upon the computer, and really tries to solve that, fix that, ameliorate that, amend that, revise that. Yeah. That is how the knowledge is made, formed, analyzed, extended, densified, diverse, extended, advanced, developed, making new connections or developments. So, the word simulation is not having a simulation for its graphics on the computer. It is the binary machine computer. It is not what simulation means. The higher generalized set of meaning, right, to simulation means it is just an execution for trying to connect the dots of informations of network around in which you do initiate. For the networks of knowledge you are trying to connect new dots of information that for what has not yet been connected. You are trying to having a relation, trying to create a new logic, a novel application. Yeah. But it has to be simultaneously executed. The JPU, juxtapositional processing unit, not a CPU, but a machine that has a capability to learn, meaning learning is exactly the same meaning with simulation, which is exactly the same meaning with the experiment and experiences, which is exactly the same meaning with trying to connect new dots of informations on the knowledges for what exists, for what are in existence, creating for what are in not in existence, from the known to the unknown. Okay. That is made not linear, one after one, the other one after the previous one, but simultaneously. For executing the simulations simultaneously, exponentially, by its new logic, for unprecedented pace of growth, the network of knowledge has to be cloned. Like when the computer wants to execute hundreds of different experiments, that sphere of a latest up-to-date knowledge has to be cloned for exact 100 times, for like producing a machine, producing a snack, producing, printing a book, for reading and thinking about the book, but hundreds of different people goes simultaneously on reading a book that needs hundreds of books. Okay, when 100 different experiments of execution is to be planned to be made, the information where the experiment is initiated upon has to be cloned for exact same count of execution. Computer wants to execute 200 experiments, so does the count of cloned knowledge. Well, just goes in one same brain cannot execute no more than just one. Because when more than one, meaning two, let's say two different executions are inflicted upon that same brain, where the first one and the second one is executing simultaneously on the same knowledge, same sphere, same model, it can make a superposition. It can make a interference for number one execution needs a certain information, but can number two require that exact same information? Unless it is copied, it can no longer proceed any more than that on that superposed time, meaning only one execution can be made on that one cloned. Yeah, like me having this brain, when the one wants to experience with equipping this brain for hundreds of different executions. Like I'm in South Korea, and the one goes to California, and the one goes to Texas, the one goes to Wyoming, and the one goes to Vancouver, and the one goes to Sydney, and the one goes to Beijing, the other one goes to Iceland, Reykjavik, the one goes to China, and all the Wuhan, and one goes to Tokyo, and it goes to Moscow, and one goes to Paris, London, fucking Berlin, Hamburg, Leipzig, Bern, Wien, Freiburg. For that different locations to go, let's say there are 100 different cloned counts, and you go simultaneously by going those places, and you execute that learning on each of those sites. But with one brain cannot go. Even the one can go, executing two different simulations on the same brain, it can require same information on both experiments. Can no longer proceed. So when the one wants to execute 1,000 different simulations, so the cloned count of knowledge to be matched in exact count, 1,000 clones. Then how to make a clone? The snack is produced by a fucking factory for thousands of snacks, exact snacks. The book is printed in exact same form for thousands of prints. The logical process as manufacturing on facility has to be made so as to execute that. Now imagine the importance of juxtapositional simultaneous processing. What Yuval Harari said in its book, was it a Sapiens or another book? It really folds the time the cat, the dog, other animals other than human requires at least hundreds of thousands of times into millions of times to make a fucking fur, to adapt to the harsh, cold environment, to maintain its temperature, which takes millions of fucking times. Okay? But when human says, well, kill the animal and make a combination of chemicals and have your jacket. Put on your jacket, which is even convertible, like a convertible car, open car and closed car. They can be put on or put off. Yeah, you make a cloth like under several minutes, several days, several hours, compared to the other fucking million years of meaningless evolution. Yeah, you folded the time. No other animal can make such an evolution for what that human made for 5,000 of years in tens of billions of years. No other animal can, even given tens of billions of years, it cannot make these 5,000 short fucking years of human history, because it shared its knowledge by the name of language. It shared its knowledge by cooperating. It made a city by cooperating. For the different execution of learning, the one who is now in Spain, the one who is now in England, the one who is now in Malaysia, the one who is now in Hawaii, those different learning informations are combined by the name of book, by the name of internet, okay? So the man who lives in California can attain the valuable knowledge executed in fucking England, okay? There's a reason of why human had made such a fucking acceleration of knowledge. It is just a structure of juxtapositional process. It not only is preceding the NVIDIA GPU. You are doing that right now. Even in South Korean, a fucking small church that has 50 fucking million people, having a Seoul, having a Busan, having a Daejeon, having a Daegu, having a Gwangju, having a bloody cities and small cities around the nation. The juxtapositional execution of learning is simultaneously proceeded right in this fucking given any given moment of time, as it is applying right now. That is experienced, okay? Even you think the earth doesn't sleep. When South Koreans do sleep, Americans do awake, and vice fucking versa. Earth doesn't sleep. And at each and every given moment of time, learning is proceeded simultaneously. Okay? When one single soul man exists around the fucking globe, what does the one man can? The learning that can be made by executing simulations is only made by that one man. But there are billions of other units for learning, like 8 billions of people. Okay? So you are having a 8 billion count of learning. That it has to be made. Let's execute. Accelerate more time growth. It is just a simple math. You are adding the time. You are adding the experience. By executing simultaneously, this man executes its learning for 1 hour, but no other existence but itself, meaning on that given time of 1 hour period, for what the learning has been made is just that experience, that learning by one man, executed by one man for 1 hour. But when 8 billion units of people do exist, there are 8 billion hours in 1 hour. Okay? 8 billion hours of learnings are executed simultaneously in 1 hour because there are 8 billion counts of executor. Okay? Each of which are proportioned by 1 hour. But on that unconditional 1 hour, as long as units are multiplied 2, 3, 4 billions of executors, having just 1 hour, like just say 4 billion, there are 4 billions of worth of learning. GPU, ever heard of it? Well, making a tiny pixel of display, whether it being your fucking phone, fucking tablet PC, fucking laptop, fucking PC, any computer, fucking TV, fucking any LED boys. It's just same. Lattice, grid by fucking grid. X-axis and Y-axis, vertical. And those each of tiny basic element for its unit is called pixel. And like you have 10 millions of pixel. But when to go by CPU, which can only process one at a time, one after the other one, it takes a lot of fucking time, like 10 minutes to make a beautiful image made by 10 millions of pixels. But the one who had imagined, Jensen Huang, who had loved greatly for PC games and wanted to enhance its graphic performance, the faster it computes, the higher the frame rate, and the smoother it be. Meaning, it needs a different structure called architecture. Like having millions of counts of processor, simple, single, low count, low capability, but many count. Simple, sole existence of CPU compared to the, let's say, 1 billions of small units of GPU. It performs very well on the task that requires a juxtapositional operation that is to be executed simultaneously. You are having a picture of tree, and that picture is made by the electron, which is computed by the processor for making a light blue sky and ever verdant conifers and evergreens of tree, and the brown stem, the little green, light green of grass. That each of those sophisticated calculation is made by the GPU. Because its origin was for graphic, it is called graphics processing, but it really is by its highest word superseded by the JPU, juxtapositional unit. Okay? Juxtapositional processing unit. That is same applied with the brain of another computer. However, the smart, the man, the single man would be, it cannot beat 30 ignorant counts of experience because it executes more than that multiplied times. Yes and yes, it has to be made. The simultaneous processing is an imperative task. Now, this passage titled Mitochondria. Well, from what the fucking origin has the word mitochondria come? Long. Are organelles, specialized systems found in cells that act, functions as much the same way as the body's organs do. Of our organs, mitochondria are most similar to the digestive system as they take in nutrients and break them down in order to create a substance known as adenosine triphosphate. Adenosine triphosphate, or ATP for its acronym. Used by the body as an energy source. It's a fucking factory from processing the raw material to the unit that can be used as the body's nutrient, body's resource to make an operation. It is a fucking factory. Factory, like in the economy, is having the most crucial position on its operation because it produces the resources that are imperative to the operation of the entire body, entire system. As much like visions, hearings are sensing for a certain electromagnetic wave or other wave having different medium for its frequency as a communicative medium from sensing the informations that is observed incoming into the brain, but that is a raw material itself, and that it has to be converted into at least a basic unit of information that the brain can process as having the same chemical composition to be used as calculation, very much like the binary computer cannot process when the input code is beyond of 0 and 1 combination. Its processing unit, the basic unit for computing, is different. It cannot process reason of why. It has to, okay? Reason of why. Visions, perception on the environment through the medium of EM wave has to be converted to the unit of computing on the brain has to be properly analyzed. So, how has it to be, okay? The human body, for its operation, its functions, are the example for making a machine. So are all the animals and plants. Those, as we've just explained for the biomimicry by human onto the animal and plants are happening because those structures are suitable, most effective, productive structure for their organization to adapt to the environment around the environment. Those methods are good for their survival operation. Okay, so as they are a superior structure, biomimicry, all the ocean boys, terrestrial boys, airborne boys, and plants, including humans, also are an example for making a better machine. And the vision, having an EM wave, signaled reflected to its eye as a sensing, and as to analyze for what has been seen, perceived, it is to be connected by the known knowledges, pre-existing knowledges, by connecting around that new information. So yeah. At first, as to make a basic analysis to conduct by the mathematics and science for its basic attributes can be analyzed instantaneously, not going deep down by connecting, because we cannot connect until it is suitably formed for being designated as certain molecular structure. It has to be, in a sense, converted into just a now how can we by seeing the image of laptop, a miniature version of computer, to be as laptop, okay? Having a laptop in my desk in front of me right fucking now, and we're seeing that image of laptop. So what we're on what criterions are we mobilizing for analyzing what the object we're seeing now is, are the average size, the 16-inch MacBook Pro, from having no signature. Oh, bloody hell. But we cannot know that is a MacBook Pro unless we have an image, pre-existing knowledge about the MacBook Pro, from which we can match the image. So we do not know that it is a MacBook Pro, even not know that it is an Apple product. And what we can see by not connecting with the pre-existing knowledge is for its length, height, XYZ, and color, that it has 미치겠네, that it has a display, but there is a keyboard and trackpad and speaker, which requires the proper connection to be perceived as a computer. So how can we, seeing the delete key, command key, enter key, arrow keys, A to Z keys on the keyboard of a computer, from seeing the 78 keys of the keyboard, that it is a keyboard, from the average length in X and Y, length and width, and the seeing of alphabets and function keys and power buttons. This is bloody. Oh, fucking bloody. So, the fastest way for analyzing is just activate all knowledges that the computer has and analyze upon that every single time it encounters new information incoming, and you could make a match. It's just exactly the same way as Google search does. Google search, when you enter the proper word that being proposed to search, you make the most relevant data on top of the search line, results line. Meaning, the searched word is a new information, and your repository, the reservoir of all pre-existing knowledge, is the search result. But it is a proactive one. Okay, Google search works as someone having an intention to have a search, and Google search does not react until some words are made an input and having an enter key or initiating the search. Does not reactive until some stimulation is inflicted upon, and it is a passive way thus, okay? Google search does not learn itself, explore by its volition, and acts only upon when the searched word is entered. So it is a passive one. But the computer, another computer, has to learn as a proactive way, as it does on a lot of simulations to execute. So, perceiving the image of keyboard, okay? Keyboard, it has a characteristic for entire 78 keys, and for the certain Apple keyboard having a command, control, option function, enter key, arrow key, from function keys F1 to F12, and then power key on the right uppermost side. Those characteristics are the defining property of Apple keyboard, a keyboard among of which Apple keyboard. Apple keyboard has a proprietarily a command key and option key, okay? And having not much more keys as Windows keyboard. Windows keyboard, I assume, having 20 or more keys on its system. So having less count of key suggests at least that is not a Windows keyboard. So as some object can be perceived as not nothing but a specifically Apple keyboard, it has to be started from the layout of keys. How much count does it have? Like a keyboard, but have you seen the keyboard that has 100 count of alphabets, 100 count of keys? You must have seen it, but not 100, but 1,000. But so, okay, have you seen a keyboard that has 1,000 keys? No, it's not a commercial consumer product. Okay, so from seeing the lower count, counting first key, second, and to the end, it acts, not over 100. That is possible for having a consumer property, consumer product. So it counts, and before it counts, it has to perceive that square key, each key for be a key of a keyboard. Define the property of keyboard having like 1.5 centimeter by 1.5 centimeter square keys from option, control function to A to Z, and number keys, and rather long keys from spacebar to enter to shift and tab, delete. Like seeing the letters that are written upon the each keys from A to Z, and all the other words I've just said, that is perceived when only perceived as A to Z. It cannot confirm, but having a space bar entered, and those keys are congregated in rectangular form. Ooh, have you seen it? Yes. So, it has to be connected proactively, not waiting until the search is made. When I say the search is made, by the basic mathematical tools for calculating the size of keyboard XYZ
and also the size of each keys, okay, and seeing those colors and seeing the alphabets written onto it. Those are just basic analyzation for mobilizing the tools of mathematics and sciences that it only by its essence can analyze very superficially, and the level, the the depth of object goes further. It cannot function as it was meant to be. So whether it's a good idea, but the search entirely is to be made proactively. The computer initiates are all firing for their activation on each and every informations that are in existence of the sphere of network of knowledge. And bloody, fucking firing their signals onto the objects they are perceived. The eye sees for their property from the color alphabets written onto it, average size, and the width, XY. Okay, so it is just a searching, but not passive, but proactive searching. It does not wait until it is being searched out. As to go, as soon as the eye sees the object be perceived as a keyboard. Yeah. Okay, so a brain has a knowledge about the orange having a circular form on the top, but on the front, not the z axis, on the x or y axis, it is like an elliptical, okay? And for orange and having a, what do you call, the stem as a on top of the on what is on top of the fruit, having a green like voice, and its texture can be perceived for having some volatility in its texture and like a porous dots on rather dark, relatively dark dots on that orange surface. But those properties that define what the orange is. Oh, no, orange, not orange, a citrus, okay? Citrus, what citrus is not is not having any match onto the object of keyboard. The keyboard and the object of citrus does not have any in common, even though the computer has the analysis from its shape, average weight, and for the shape being not 2D but 3D, which means it is from the top view like a circular, but in the front or back view in 2D, or it's like elliptical and having an average, meaning size, weight. Size means X, Y, Z, weight, and shape, color, texture. For the properties that define what the citrus is not not having any match with that of keyboard. So even though you're bloody, like an example of pencil. Pencil is defined by its average XYZ, and having a graphite on its tip, and even the other side of the tip having some eraser, and it can have a function for writing with the usage of that graphite. So the properties that define either be a pencil or a citrus is not having any match with that of a keyboard. So even though those all pre-existing knowledge from the car to the airplane to the other industrial machines, all of the pre-existing knowledge are fired simultaneously upon the new information for what it later be perceived as keyboard, it is not having any match. So it oh the fucking hell, it retracts its connection. The connection has always been made as to conduct a analyzation, because unless it is connected, by what means can the computer make an analyzation onto the new information on what is incoming, newly incoming? One and only method to analyze by the pre-existing knowledge is only by physically connecting with that dot, with the line to that dot onto it. Without which, now, even from the fact that human, even though it, even right now, using its brain to think and speak by the proactive stimulation of its all pre-existing knowledges, it cannot think and it cannot make new knowledge, new information, new connection for what is, for the application made by its proactive stimulations and speaking, which will resultantly make another connection, new connection, having more accumulated knowledge. Those are advancements. Unless, while it is thinking and speaking, the connection of new dots, that particular pertaining new dots, the very new knowledge is newly connected. So physically, really, literally, when the one thinks proactively and speaks on its knowledge for like 30 minutes or 1 hour, the network for what it had 30 minutes ago, 1 hour ago, is very different from the time passed. That exact time passed. 30 minutes later, 1 hour later from what had been, is having resultantly, by the creation of new knowledge, by the application, stimulation, proactive stimulation upon their network, their density and diversity for the quality and quantity of that information has grown. New dots may have been created, and certainly new connections from the pre-existing knowledges for connecting the new dots on that network of sphere is newly connected, literally. Brain fucking changes, not a day-to-day basis, month-to-month basis, not certainly year-to-year basis, but always hour-to-hour, minutes-by-minutes basis. When the brain encounters a new information, like having a new conversation by a new boy, having a new lecture heard from the internet, having a new image shown and perceived, saw new image, new photo, new video, saw a new text, new combination of texts, meaning words on the book, as to really understand what it is hearing, seeing, the corresponding exact requirement of that stimulation to the real change, transformation on its brain has to be made as to accurately understand what it is hearing and seeing. It has to follow that specific instruction made by the text of book, the image of display, the video of computer, the molecular, the vibration of air, for what it specifically says, an instruction as to share their knowledge to the another one, to the computer, as to be communicative, the signal of the emitter has to be transferred to the other one, the learner, the receiver, and having a communication, having an understanding from the original to the receiver, it has to follow the exact instruction that have been made by the original sender. So, exactly follow that instruction to understand. And then you can verify with your knowledge. But at first, the instruction has to be followed, and then the proving, thorough scrutinization, perscrutation can be made after which time, after that process. So, easily being said, when the one sees a video, when the one sees a new photo, new video, new photo, different from, new from what the one had, new text, new words are heard. It has to really in live, literally in live, connect that exact required dots simultaneously, like as soon as, literally, this phrase is very highly utilized. As soon as it hears, it sees. That exact instruction from the sender has to be followed as soon as it hears and sees to its real connection of brain. The network is, when perceived, to prove by following the real dots, connections are made as soon as it hears, as soon as it says, as soon as it sees. Upon the stimulation for new informations, either be very and very other means, it is perceived has to be connected as that flow of information exactly instructs to be connected in your brain real. Isn't that amazing? You're having a lecture in the university. You're seeing a video from YouTube. You are reading an article from the internet. You're reading a book in the book, and you're hearing a new word, new valuable information from the other one. But for the one, two, in order for the one computer to understand what they are showing onto you, saying onto you, it has to really connect that newly formed information, that said, shown information to the another new connection in live, as to understand and proceed the next communication, having a novel, noble, and new conversation with the others. What others are saying for like 30 minutes and having a stimulated over 10% of the entire knowledge of the receiver, the computer, the learner, and resultantly create even a new information and new connection, aggregating both of which, like having 0.2% of new accumulation, okay? So what the computer has to do is to learn from what are being said, has to stimulate over 10% for what are being stimulated, over 10% of its knowledge. And by utilizing over 10%, it has to connect the new connects lines, and for new dots by the combination of pre-existing knowledge, or even the new one. The new one has a relationship with the pre-existing knowledge. So as for the new information to be analyzed properly, the proper informations have to be connected upon around of it and its instruction for what information to where is instructed by the emitter, the sender. So it has to follow that instruction, okay? In live, okay? It is like just this computing on what your calculator, the computer binary fucking code does. The binary fucking computer really calculates on the voltage, on the small count of electrons, having a calculation even though it's simple as 0 to 1, it really acts as simple what you're turning your laptop and having a search and having a video seeing. It has to really calculate, okay? The brain physician or the electrician for chip designer will always know for what it has to be, okay? It really does. It really happens because no other means other than that, has to happen as for the one to really understand upon their instructions that are being received. So, really has to follow. Just said for the 10% of the entire knowledge has been stimulated from the new learning source, but wouldn't it be great for executing all the fucking 100% of its entire knowledge and reinforcing, even though the sender only instructed for stimulating around the 10% of its. But it does not know that you have other knowledges that can be connected. This is the very source of creation. So, for following just a instruction for what are being said, shown, and by just doing that exactly so, it only acquires the knowledge the other one, meaning the sender, has, okay? The other one has. You're just exactly following, even though I said before, after you are following that specific instruction, can the proving process, the thorough scrutinization happen. But wouldn't it be great if simultaneously the computer connects all of its mobilization for up to 100% what all knows, stimulated and connected with the new information incoming? Even that, if that happens, bloody, even you certain a small and new information incoming for the computer connects upon around it, having a new and maximum logic relevances onto it. Ideally, it has to be, because it is what the knowledge is, exactly. So, incoming and what? Now I feel I can really realize from the very much like bloody studying and thinking, a human has a fucking lack of ability to make a juxtapositional simultaneous like fucking GPU by NVIDIA processor. It cannot process juxtapositionally for doing other simultaneous tasks at the same fucking time. It only can like a fucking incompetent, impotent CPU. So, when the newly incoming informations are perceived by the sensor to the fucking computer, the brain, Shiba. So, the problem can easily be solved because the computer do not think in most complexity in the best complication because it has no need to. Often, the simpler solution is having a higher logic. Because its structure is rather simple, the simpler one having a higher logic. So, the computer has the information for the properties on what are defining as to be a keyboard. The information, like we say a keyboard, when I say a keyboard, I don't know how, but the real information on my brain is stimulated from the keyboard to the real corresponding information. And that property, that information of keyboard stored in the brain is having a knowledge to be a specific, a keyboard, to be perceiving as keyboard. When it sees keyboard, match, perfect match, because it has a related, connected informations around from having, it has in average 70 to 80 or even 90 to 100, but not over 1,000 of keys. And the keys, each of which from A to Z, they're having not 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter large square, but rather 1.3 or 5 centimeter by 1.3 or 5 square. And it has generally a arrow key like a fuck you form, and enter key, control key, even the window having a window key. It has a key around it. Those are the defining characteristics for the informations, the objects that are perceived as to be analyzed as a keyboard, because it has that matching property. The fucking brain is very much like the Google search, but only differs from the passive Google to proactive brain. It can perceive a certain object to have an analyzation as a keyword because it has a resource to make an analyzation without any relatable, any connectable informations, knowledges around the new information. It cannot analyze. Reason of why the more accumulated computer can, more data set, more parameter can do their job more exactly, more accurately, more objectively. Meaning, the more knowledges, more informations that are connected around the information of keyword, it can really differentiate from the one to the another. Okay. So, as I've just said, having a average XY, like we see right now, the MacBook keyboard has X for 30 centimeter and the Y for less than 15 centimeter, okay? And very much like another keyboards, even Windows and other boys are not surpassing the X-axis to be exceeding over 50 centimeter, maybe 40, but not 50. And of course, the Y-axis does not surpass over 25 centimeter. Can it be 20 but not 25? Those average sets are stored as having a defined characteristic because the computer, me, had experienced a lot of different types of keyboards, okay? From the elementary school age, from the middle school age, from the other computer boys, and having entered another buildings and the cities and had seen a lot of different types of keyboards, but in common having most characteristics on the same line, but it can vary for its size, whose difference gap is not surpassing over 30%, 40% gap from the standard position. We have learned from a lot of learnings for what characteristics are the defining matter to be a something object be perceived as a keyboard. Okay, so having 30 centimeter by 15 or 12 centimeter alphabets, commands, options are written onto it, and the variation of their length are, the longest is a space bar, then shift, then return, then tab or ESC and the delete key. Yeah, from these, okay, those are the defining information that are connected around the information of keyboard that defines what it is, what its definition is. Really, defining the definition, the same word. Defining by the pertinent, relevant informations to that targeted information to define. So, brain would, of course, the chemical for its molecular combinations, but also by the essence of atoms, the electricity is used as a primary medium for communication. It necessarily happens. The word electricity, if not the word for the certain code, but the essence of electricity for its real information that are consisting to the property of electricity will permanently exist as long as this universe exists, because the electricity is, have ever heard of electron that are congregated around the proton and neutron of atom? How the fucking, we cannot ask a question because that is what it is. Of course, thus electricity is always used for their importance, and that property is used as a communicative line. So, electricity. And the visual perception as electromagnetic wave can be converted easily as electricity because it is just a different form of same essence. As long as the electromagnetic wave exists and electron exists, electricity will always exist. Electric field, magnetic field exists, so it exists. So, having defining a few of characteristics that analyzes such an object to be a keyboard, and those informations are not stored as any other form but the exact calculation, 30 centimeter by 15 centimeter, and its average size of average keys from A to Z, standard square size, spacebar key, longer size. Those are, okay? Those informations are perceived, stored as a light storage, okay? It can search from having a Google search because the user enters the proper word, not what do you call in English, gobalaj bubul, the meaningless combination of words, but the specific word, not APLPE is not an apple. APPLE is an apple. So, even beyond that combination that uses not even a English or other language code, but having other kinds of symbols entered, the computer cannot interpret, okay? It cannot be searched unless it can be searched, and it can be designed as to be searched. But when having a voice search even onto the Google, the computer can make the vibration of air molecules to be corresponding certain frequency, designated as A to Z, a certain frequency. So they are translating from that analog output to be digital. Reason of why it can search as a voice, okay, voice search. And if that doesn't have that, like mic, the converter of the signal, it cannot search, okay? It can be searched because it has a proper corresponding attribute for what are being searched to. The results are shown. as that is the exact mechanism. And the electrical engineers, those will just naturally understand, okay? So, the informations for what are the defining characteristic of what the keyboard is are stored in light form. The one sees with its eye 2D keyboard and measures its from through the experience, measures through its average XY color. The keyboard deployment, the spacebar is not in the upward top side, but the very center bottom side, and having a delete key left top side, okay, and the arrow key right bottom side, okay, not only for its average size, and it knows the deployment for the key's location. So they are the defining and as for the computer to store the exact information to be an object as a computer, it has to enter the specific requirement of that keyboard. From arrow key to delete key, alphabet key to the tab key, shift key to the function key, those are in existence and are deployed in a specific manner if it is a consumer product. And the A to Z for 26 different characters are having a exact same length on its squareized key. Those are the defining one, and that informations are stored in light form. A human can see the image of keyboard and exactly and instantaneously, like immediately, interpret the keyboard as a keyboard because on its brain, those defining characteristics for what are the keyboard, for that related definition parameters are stored as exact same form of energy, form of storing unit, calculating unit as what it is perceived, okay? Perceived as EM wave, the light, and stored as the light. Light? You kidding me? Light? So, if it is stored in a molecular basis, different combinations, are you saying that molecular bases are having the storage that are made of light? You fucking... It is not a biology, it is a physics and chemistry, not a biology. Biology is just a subdivision, a specific... Well, from the result view, not a cause, the reason view, at the end, that for what are perceived an object as to be a keyboard, human can know from its image, okay? That image. Image XYZ, size, keys respective length, and its deployment is that are all for what the keyboard is as defined as the definition. And human perceives the image of keyboard, okay? So as to be searchable, the unit, calculating unit, storing unit has to be same as exact the method of how it is perceived. It sees with the medium of EM wave, but the EM wave is just a medium of perception, but for what the real information is, just an object. Just an object. An object is the same with the image, and the image is seen, and the image can be perceived as that exact image that is not a pencil nor the fucking citrus, and it's just a keyboard. And it can because it has a match. A match, seeing the image of keyboard, and you have the image of keyboard. The keyboard, not only it has an image of keyboard, those are dissected deep down for what the keyboard is, not from the overall length and width, but the average count of its keys. For what I have just repeatedly, like over 5 times said, those are the characteristic. Having an image and dissect, analyze on that image from seeing bloody other kinds of keyboards, like when you enter a word of keyboard into Google and having an image section from the first to the last end, it has a diverse variety of keyboards. Human can perceive something keyboard as a keyboard because it not only has a just one kind of experience. For that experience, it only just has seen a one kind of keyboard. When it encounters another kind of keyboard, it cannot correlate because the image doesn't match. Reason of why the 10-year-old boy is not good enough than the 20-year-old boy for the task of perceiving what are the keyboard is, and is that a keyboard for that question. Not good enough because it lacks directly the experience for seeing a variety kind of keyboards. So, from analyzing the essence of knowledge for how it is acquired and how it is advanced, what is that? The diverse quantity and quality of experiences and more thinking, more proactive connections. How and why and it advances the knowledge. So the 30-year boy, as long as it maintained its pace of seeing variety of kind of keyboards through a lot of experience data set, like parameters, it can mobilize all the data onto the newly incoming object. By the 10-year-old boy only has 5 different examples of keyboard for its experience, and 20-year-old 15 count of different, and 30-year-old 40 or 50 kind of diverse examples around the keyboard. 2. The quantity and density of connection around the new information is growing. 10-year-old only 5 count. 30-year-old 10 times more, 50 count, okay? 50 count, 10 times more. So the precision, not only the accuracy, but also the precision, the sophistication goes up by the more experiences, okay? It can connect around the more, and it has a lot of examples, a lot of diverse versions, okay? From the same core principle, different editions, okay? So it has a lot. And the method for how can it perceive the new information by seeing its image of an object of a keyboard to be a keyboard is because it has, like 30-year boy, having 50 different images of keyboard, okay? Images of keyboard. Now, this is a task from the image of keyboard. How can the computer fucking hell? How can the computer store the image of keyboard? Now the binary computer can exactly store the image like a movie Titanic released over 30 years ago, but it has the exact replica, exact copy without any loss of its data. because its storage unit, its logic structure for processing to storing is just, even though it is just a two-factor, its logic structure for storing and calculating is accurate. Okay, is for the human to do that same exact task as computer does, it has to make that exact kind of accurate structure. Not the electric circuit, but the circuit, meaning the structure or how it manages the data. Human's brain now, what I possess is a fucking reptilian fucking brain. It is just a lack of calculating over one kind of task. It cannot even simultaneously process the task for two different things at the same time, and its storage consummation, the completeness of its storage is just a fucking job, and it was made 100,000 years ago, which was just its latest evolution, and it is based over a million, I don't know, for 6-10 million, but at least I can confidently say at least 20% of my brain is a relic of 10 million year old fucker. Okay, maybe 60% of my brain will be a direct relic of 1 or 2 million, and I confidently also say only under 10% of my brain was evolved 100,000 years ago, which is not a adjacent time frame. So, all things are evolved but human body. All machines have been made, and all creative systems are structured, organized to be more advanced but human body. So, the image of a keyboard is right there, and you can perceive, oh, that is a keyboard. Because also its direct characteristic, also it has, if it be a PC, having a monitor in front of it, having a mouse left or right side of the keyboard. Okay? So, the question. The image of keyboard is stored in the fucking brain, and it has to be like a computer fucking binary boy does. It has to. Computer, the fucking one, can answer, can make a search results around the name of computer, around the name of keyboard, because it was learned. Okay, making a learning of a computer to have a self-learning. Now, having a ChatGPT or Google, show me the image of keyboard. It exactly does what it was meant to be, because its storage is perfect. Its storage is not having any loss on the information. Once it is stored, it is not erased until the exact reversing method is inflicted upon that storage. So, that storage is having the most logical way for one and only one kind of input, and at least one and only one kind of output. If it being three different counts of input method, it only has under 3 count of output method. The output method cannot exceed, the count of output method cannot exceed that of the input method. Input method being 5, the output method has to be under 5 over 5, meaning 6 and 7 and 8, it literally, by the structure on that logic, means it can lose its data other than the method of input. Okay? So the output method has to be under the count of the input method, as it is not to be erased by another means other than the method of input. And if that happens, no way to recover. So, it is about the physics and chemistry. How to store the image. How to store like a voice. Okay? You're remembering a certain man's voice for as soon as you hear the voice of a certain man, oh, you can perceive by its special, unique frequency of the voice, you can perceive, oh, that voice belongs to that specific man. So it has a reservoir, a storage for what the specific voice is, meaning it can store that specific frequency of voice, meaning it can what the fucking question? So it has to. No. When once the one have read a lot of books, but over time it reads less and less books, and compensating on that time was once been used as having a reading time, but it is transforming that reading time to the thinking time, going less and less books are read and going more and more connections around the internal accumulated knowledges are being made. More connections. Okay.